Hello Hpcommunications. Welcome to the first installment of how to do your daily vehicle condition report. You guys are required to fill these forms out daily, which covers certain aspects of your trucks and keeping them in good operating order for your safety. When filling these forms out, you're going to print your name, your location of where you're working at. Mileage refers to the mileage of the vehicle from the start of the week until the end of the week. The date, the vehicle number, and the license plate number. If it's available on your vehicle, you're going to want to put the hours, which is usually noted on the center of the dash when pressing the mileage reset button. If your vehicle does not have this option, just put NA. And as far as auxiliary hours goes, that's referring to vehicles that have auxiliary powered equipment on them, such as trucks with compressors. Most of them have an hour meter on there. Okay, first thing we're going to be covering is going to be fluid levels and leaks. So I'm going to be showing you how to check the fluid levels correctly on your truck, and where to look for leaks and figuring out what it is that is leaking. Okay, so what we have here is an F550, and the first thing we're going to do is check the engine motor oil. First things first is for locating the engine oil dipstick. While the truck is cold, that is when you're going to want to check the engine oil. So remove the dipstick, the clean rag or towel, wipe it clean, and reinstall back into the dipstick hole. And pull back out. And then you're going to note the very end of the dipstick. It has a minimum and maximum range on it. If it is, of course, below the maximum range, you're going to want to add oil. Every one of our diesel trucks in our fleet is running 1540 motor oil. That's the Dello 1540. Do not use anything other than the 1540 motor oil in our diesel trucks. If you are driving an F-150, you can run 1540 in it, but preferably we like to run the 520 synthetic motor oil. Okay, if it's also reading past the maximum level, that means the truck's either A, been overfilled with oil, or it's gotten to a point where it needs to be serviced and diesel fuel is leaking past the internal components of the engine and filling up the oil pan. If that's the case, please notify your local mechanic and he will schedule the truck in to get it serviced and get that fixed for you. Okay. Next things we're going to be checking is the fluid level of the transmission and the power steering. The reason I'm lumping those two together is because both of those require their levels to be checked while the truck is running. I'm not going to do that just so you guys can hear what I'm saying, but let's just imagine the truck is running right now. You'd locate the dipstick for the transmission, and same thing, just like the engine oil. You're going to pull it out, wipe it clean, stick it back in there, pull it back in. Okay. You notice that the transmission fluid is red in color, and on most of the dipsticks they have a cold range and a hot range. Cold range is referring to as the truck has been sitting overnight and it is cold. And then the hot range would be referring to it as it, being warmed up after being driven for a whole day or 10 or 15 miles or so. So refer to the dipstick in those locations based on the temperature of the truck and add accordingly. And the transmission fluid is added through the dipstick hole itself. Again, you probably want to get with your local mechanic and he'll help you out with that as far as getting the fluid added to it. And the power steering, and this will vary based on which truck you're driving. They have reservoir, same idea. While the truck is running, you want to check this, and it's got a dipstick on the end of it. This one has just a full cold range, so while the truck's running, this is what you check right after checking your engine oil and you've got the truck started up and you're starting to warm it up. Take a look at that level. If it's low, add fluid accordingly. And also look at the condition of the fluid. If it's really dirty or black or smells really bad, then notify your local mechanic and he will get that swapped out for you. Next thing we're going to cover is the coolant level and the brake level. Check the coolant level before the truck has started running and it's cold, never remove the cap on any vehicle when it's hot. Otherwise, you potentially could get burned, hot steam coming up out of the reservoir, and there really is no reason for you to remove this cap unless you're having to add fluid. On these reservoirs, they have a little hash mark or sticker that locates, what the minimum and maximum level is. Top it off accordingly, and use the correct type of coolant that's specified for the truck. If you have any questions, just ask your local mechanic. He'll set you up with the correct fluid to add to it, or do it for you. Try not to add just water. Water has a lower boiling point and will evaporate sooner, and just cause problems later on. Fluid level in the brake reservoir. Sometimes it's hard to see because the plastic on these tanks gets kind of murky and it's hard to see what's going on with them. You can remove the cap and take a look inside and look at the condition of the fluid again. See if it's dirty or just in bad shape, and notify your mechanic, and he will get that swapped out for you also. If the fluid level has dropped significantly and you haven't seen anything leaking, which you hopefully haven't with the brakes, it would signify that the brake pads on your truck or rotors have worn significantly and it's time to do the brakes on your truck. Again, notify your mechanic and he'll take care of you from there. Alright, so that covers the checking the fluid levels. As far as leaks go, you're going to take a look at the truck of where it's been parked and see if there's any kinds of puddles, or if there's any a lot of wet stuff on the bottom of the truck, on the chassis. Try to note on your report where it is leaking from, if it's from the front of the truck, the middle of the truck, the right side, the left side. You can also specify what the color of the fluid is. If it's red fluid, like we mentioned earlier, chances are it's a transmission or even possibly a power steering leak. It could be a cooling hose or a power steering hose that's leaking. And again, if you can give us the best possible chance of where it's located at and the color of the fluid, it helps us decipher what the problem is with the truck, and we can get it fixed for you from there. Hydraulic or trucks with hydraulic tanks, look at the fittings, make sure that they're good and tight, they're not wet or leaking or dripping or anything like that on the ground, because some of these job sites won't allow that type of thing to happen. So at any rate, that covers fluid levels and leaks. If you have any questions, again, ask your local mechanic. He'll be happy to help you out and show you how to check these things. All right, thanks.